Hello there, welcome to BOA 54. I am Hawa and this is Reaction Time Africa, bringing you new updates about our beloved continent. As many of you already know, Dr. Arikana Chihombori-Quao, who is the former African Union ambassador to the United States, was recently dismissed from office, and many believe that this is due to her anti-colonial speeches against France. So today we're going to unpack Dr. Chihombori-Quao's anti-colonial speeches and what they mean. However, before we get started, if this is your first time, thank you for joining us. Our passion here at BOA 54 is to promote a positive Africa, one video at a time. If this sounds like anything you would love to be a part of, go ahead and join the family of BOA by hitting that subscribe button and the notification bell next to it so you can keep learning about Africa and you don't miss anything. Also, most importantly, share this channel and video with your family and friends to help us promote a positive Africa. So let's get started on how France maintains its influence in its former West African colonies. First off, hats off to Dr. Chihombori-Quao for speaking up against some of the atrocities we're about to cover in this video happening to some of our brothers and sisters in Africa. After France supposedly gave independence to its colonies in Africa, the French came up with a new way to profit from its former territories. When the former French colony of Guinea first made its bid for independence, the French in the country ransacked it before leaving, destroying anything they could not take with them, and they considered benefit of colonization. Other French colonies were concerned that the same thing would happen to them, so Sylvanus Olympio, the first president of Togo, made a deal with the French where Togo would pay France for their so-called benefits of colonization. Many other countries followed suit, and this process became a requirement to continue to use the CFA franca as the currency of the new nations. Now, countries are required to keep 50% of their currency reserved in the Bank of France. Since the currency is connected to the euro through France, the French argue that the arrangement brings stability to the economies of their former colonies. Many, however, believe that this arrangement removes money from the different African economies, stifling the economy development while giving French an economic boost. They call it a neo-colonialism. Many also point to the evidence that France has had a large role in many of the coups that occurred in its former colonies, arguing that many of the leaders that were ousted at one point tried to get out of this deal. Some are saying that this is the same thing that happened to Dr. Chihombori-Quao after she spoke out against this policy. Now, here is a replay of one of Dr. Chihombori-Quao's speeches.
We sit here and we ask ourselves, why isn't Africa moving forward? Why does Africa continue to be taken advantage of? Well, I'll tell you why, very simply. Until Africa comes together as a continent speaking with one voice, one continent, one people, nothing, and I repeat, nothing is gonna change. As individual little African countries, we are wannabe boxers. We will never make it fighting against the heavyweights. We must speak with one voice. Yeah. And this is exactly what our Pan-African leaders wanted to see happen in 1963 when they came together in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. They clearly stated that Africa for the Africans at home and abroad, and that African Union was now. They said Africa must speak with one voice. It is the only way for Africa to take its rightful place on the world stage. Sadly, when they went to Addis Ababa in 1963, they were divided. We had two factions, the Casablanca group and the Monrovia group. The Casablanca group were saying Africa for the Africans at home and abroad, and African Union now. This was Ghana, Guinea, Mali, Egypt, Morocco, Algeria, and Tunisia. Only 7. The other 25 of the 32 who attended were the Monrovia group. They were the nationalists. They said, let's go slow. Let's kind of wait on this Pan-African thing. 55 years later, 56 this year, we're still going slow. As if it wasn't bad enough that we were divided up into the tiny little countries that we are today. The gift that Berlin Conference gave us. One other thing that France did between 1958 and 1961 in the name of giving us our independence as African countries. France forced the Francophone, and I hate that terminology. There is no such thing as Francophone, Anglophone. They made it up. But for the purposes of communication, I will use that. 14 of those countries, they said, in order for you to get your independence from us, you must sign this document. You thought they could have found a better name for the document. The document was called the Pact for the Continuation. I repeat, the Pact for the Continuation of Colonization. We are talking about giving you independence, but sign this pact for the continuation of colonization in a different format. The same people who have the audacity to tell us that we are poor countries, they are taking trillions out of Africa every year. And what is the African doing? Like an obedient, programmed black man, we just give in. We know the facts, but we just do nothing about it. Now, you have to say some of the fears are real, because the France that has sold you inferior equipment to theirs, France that has trained your military to be inferior to their military, they are now in your country. They can invade you. They have the permission to do so. They can destabilize you. And then one might say, why is it that African leaders haven't done anything about this deplorable situation? Well, let me tell you, my brother and sister, they have tried. Documented to this day, 22 coups where leaders were assassinated. France had something to do with it. The first 7, when they decided they were pulling out of the CFA and that they're going to print their own money, they were assassinated. Every time an African leader has tried to do what's best for their country, they were assassinated. Majority of them aided by France. Such, my brothers and sisters, is the story of your Africa. They don't do coups anymore. They simply create instability. So when you hear of an instability in an African country, ask yourself, what is really going on? Because what they are telling you is really going on is just a shiny object. The real issue is over here. And you need to stop before you start being used as an instrument of your own self-destruction.
A petition has begun to have her reinstated, but as with any story, there's always 2 sides. The African Union is claiming that Dr. Quao created a negative work environment for her staffers and improperly used her position to raise money for personal projects such as beauty pageants. Dr. Quao denies this allegation and said this is an attempt to illegitimize her. Now, what do you think about all of this? Should France end their colonial tax and provide room for these African economies to grow, or should it continue to provide stability by holding on to their reserves? Let us know in the comment section below. And this wraps it up with Reaction Time Africa. Thank you for watching, and hit that like button if you've learned something new, and let us know in the comment section about what you think of all of this. And also do check out our other videos on Africa, which you would find in the description box below. And be sure to check out Boa 54 merch. Every purchase that you make helps us produce these videos that you guys so much love. At this point, if there's any topic that you'd like us to cover next, please let us know in the comment section section below, and we'll make sure to cover it for you guys. Don't forget to follow Boa on Facebook and Instagram, and share this video and channel with your family and friends. Also hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and the notification bell next to it so you can keep learning about Africa and you don't miss anything. And if you just subscribed, welcome to the family, and see you guys in the next video.